I was talking to somebody today about like kind of how all this works, and we're looking at a very small part of the problem. And we were having a conversation, code, no code. And I said, what's funny is like we originally prototyped this in a no code tool, and no code is part of it, but we've written 15,000 lines of code around it. And then and it's a very small part of it. And the person was like, okay, that's like really complicated, right? But if you think about it, 15,000 lines of code versus like your 50 billion neural connections, like, millions of dollars taking you from kindergarten to whatever. I think people really underestimate just how much like value add humans are adding in the part of the sales process. It's like getting to know you and finding targeting. Like the long run to me it's so clear. The long run, GPT-3's out, AI is already creating like all that stuff. The long run value of humans is going to be creativity, right? Not solving problems, but knowing what problems are worth solving, right? So when I go into an organization, right, I don't even like, when you think of the efficiency pitch, I only focus on one thing, which is how much time are your reps speaking to other people? That's the only metric that I think matters. And the reason for that is if the true value that a person can provide is exploration and creativity and stringing a problem together, if that is the maximum value that a person can provide, probably most of that is going to happen in spoken form or collaborative form, right? So it doesn't really matter to me if you're, like we've automated away all your activities. Like if you have 2 hours of speaking time a day, like I don't care how efficient you think you are or how much, from an internal lens, you're like, I made sales 300% more efficient. Doesn't matter because the maximum value that they can provide is 2 hours of the day. That's the utmost maximum value that they can provide. And so I think like that's kind of like how I think about the shift with RevOps is like, it's like, how do we rethink what our resources are and how do we align them to customers in different creative sort of ways to maximize that airtime?
So you and I've talked about this a little bit, and I mean, it kind of seems like you're kind of throwing away many, if not all, of like the traditional measures of what makes a ops team, quote unquote, good, and also like what the right way to measure the output of a sales organization is as well. So can you kind of talk about this evolution that you've gone on from that kind of more traditional lens that you're talking about to the way you're thinking about it now, which is like, I think at its core, talk time per customer per day?
So, I think, so first of all, like I'm not redefining anything. I think the game has already been redefined by the customer, right? And I think, again, like the company you're at played a huge part in it, right? The whole premise of sales operations and making, internal metrics, the whole premise of that is that we have leverage and control over the situation. 30 years ago, we had control through information asymmetry. So it was like, I'm in the Chicago market. I'm the only person who sells this widget. I'm going to call in this prospect, or maybe there's 5, but like, what are the odds that 5 people are going to call in the prospect at the same time? Like that was the first information asymmetry. Then that was the first leverage. Then the second leverage came from like, I can just achieve, I can automate these low value tasks. I can achieve it. And today, like there's kind of 5 versions of every app. And even though they're different, like, they all make the same claims. The thing as a buyer is like, all I can go off is the claims and the cost of exploring those claims with you. And I don't always buy the best product, right? I just do my best to predict what that ROI is going to be. And so now it's like, you can bant me all you want. If I can book a meeting off of Drift and I get to that first account executive and they get me into the product release, like that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do the easiest thing.